Let me paint you a picture. You're a regular ass person working a regular ass run-of-the-mill job. You have hopes and dreams that all revolve around this job. You have a family that lives off of this job, and then you got fired. Why did you get fired? AI. It's always AI. Why are you broke? AI. Why did your wife leave you? AI. Microsoft laid off 9,000 people. 15,000 if you total it all up. All for AI. Multi-millionaire CEO Phil Spencer went on record to jibber-jabber about how this is all for increasing agility and effectiveness as PR terms for we're firing you to fund AI. And I don't have to be the one that spells out that firing people at this given moment is ridiculous. And I don't have to spell out that rich-ass corporations don't give a fuck about the worker. It doesn't matter the job you work. The day it can get replaced by a robot is the day you're unemployed. Now, I want to come back to this and focus on something else. Who actually got fired? You got to start with the Blizzard layoffs. Those always happen. Raven Studio, who is working on the next Call of Duty Black Ops, got some cuts. Turn 10, the studio behind the Forza games, they just lost 50% of their employees. ZeniMax, the people behind Elder Scrolls Online, just had to axe the game completely. One of the biggest mobile game studios that Microsoft somehow owns also just laid off like 200 people. A first-person shooter game being made by the creators of Doom just got its funding completely cut. Finally, two big major games just got canceled. Rare, the people behind Sea of Thieves, just canceled Everwild, and a reboot for Perfect Dark also got canceled. Now, I can't see behind the scenes in Microsoft, but one thing seems clear. Microsoft has a lot of expensive things, and AI is one of those super expensive things. As they continue to buy companies, those companies tend to have a bunch of workers, and there might be a little bit of overlap on what all of these employees do. So when you want to fund your AI, you can get rid of some of these people. What's 500 more unwritten paychecks? Honestly, I'd be for all of this if they fired everybody at Mojang. Am I joking? No, but seriously, Microsoft and Xbox clearly wants to be involved in everything regarding video games. We can look at Xbox Game Pass, for example. People want to play games. Big shocker. And people want to play a big variety of games. Big shocker. So by operating on a cut, Microsoft has probably made an insanely popular offer where PC and Xbox gamers can go and play a huge variety of different games, whether it be the next COD games, new indie games, any release from all these companies that they're buying. Those same very companies that got the layoffs, all for $10, or I guess like $12. There's a reason why Microsoft is buying so many of these companies. It's the same reason they're releasing games on PC, and it's the same reason they're making a handheld console with Steam on it. They want to have the biggest slice of any pie in the gaming market that anybody could have. And this venture into AI, it's no different. It seems like every single tech company is just absolutely certain that AI is going to be insanely lucrative, and you're not going to be able to do anything about it for the next 10 years anyways. There's been interviews with the CEO of Nvidia who wants programming to be an accessible thing to everybody through AI. Maybe I'm wrong on this, but I got a slight feeling that a robot can't just create a game from scratch right now at this given moment. Don't quote me on this. Maybe AI and programming outside of video games is actually really useful, but this is about Xbox. So if Microsoft isn't planning on replacing their workers with AI, then what is the current game plan? I used a little bit more of my brain and actually read something for the first time, and it turns out to increase funding for AI data centers. So Microsoft is basically planning to make their AI softwares bigger and better. And to do that, people gotta get fired. Business is business, money is money, capitalism, baby. But a future where AI can make games is a future that Microsoft also wants. And it's a future where more people are gonna be losing their jobs, which is scary. Maybe I'm being the friend that's too woke here, but corporations keep trying to replace their workers with AI. And it seems that Microsoft's end goal is just that, create an AI good enough to replace these people. But now I'm starting to sound like a conspiracy theorist, so I'm gonna slow down on this. Automation can make lives easier, but what does automation mean for the creation of video games? Who in the process of making the game is being replaced? And who is this good for outside of the big corporation? There's many questions I have, and I don't know if I can get them answered right now. So now I have a new question. What do all of these new layoffs in the video game industry really entail? And I had to do a little bit of research for this as well. So in the context of video game studios laying off workers, in the last 3 years, 35,000 people lost their jobs. Companies, just like Microsoft, took a bunch of gambles during the pandemic. Some of it didn't pay out. So when it comes time to fund the next big thing, you see where I'm going with this. Games are getting more and more expensive to make and need more and more people to work on them. So when these games don't turn out too well, they don't make a profit. If you didn't know, a year ago, Microsoft actually shut down 4 studios, including the studio behind Hi-Fi Rush, which was insanely controversial. I'm skipping over a lot, but it wasn't until August of 2024 that the studio actually got saved, or at least half of it. And that was crazy to me considering just how great Hi-Fi Rush was and just how successful of a game it was. Correct me if I'm wrong, but it had to have been one of the most successful games on Xbox Game Pass. And even though everything did eventually work out, the studio only has Hi-Fi Rush left. If we look at Blizzard, because of these recent and constant layoffs that the company is receiving, they probably both bled a lot of talent and have also lost funding for side projects like Warcraft Rumble. And here's a bunch more games that are also cooked by these layoffs. It just seems like the one person who these layoffs are good for are the, drumroll please, The stakeholders. Always think of the stakeholders. But I'm gonna close with this. I don't know a lot of what's going on behind the scenes, but I can't see how this can be good for the consumer considering the cancellations, and I can't see how it can be good for the worker considering them being fired. In fact, I'm gonna leave you with this article. According to former Microsoft developers, job security at Microsoft sucks. To save as much money as possible, they will milk you dry for 2 years, have you train your replacement, and boot you the hell out of there. You know, now my AI replacement conspiracy is not sounding so conspiratory. Maybe there's a little bit of morbid solace in the fact that video game developers are getting unemployment checks at the same rates of everybody else. Yeah, your dream job as a kid is not looking too hot. The job market's shit for everybody. Why do you think I'm making videos? Dirt poor student who can't find a job. Peace.